G'day folks. Well, for this afternoon's little equipment autopsy we have a brand new Changhong HD LCD television. This is a 32-inch full HD panel, LED backlight, and we're going to tear it apart. Like basically just destroy it. You know why? Because the previous owner had a bit of an accident. I picked this up from the local appliance store and yeah, he said it fell over when he was plugging it in. Like he literally had it a week, went to plug something in, and it's obvious it tumbled forward. From what I understand, it slipped forward off the stand and probably came down on his knee. It was probably one of those really low TV stands. He was kneeling, tipped it over to plug it in, and it just gone thump. Yeah, that's not good. It doesn't display anything because the cracks go right across the panel. It doesn't even attempt to display anything. So, well, it's not much good without a good panel, so let's tear it apart. It'll be good spare parts anyway. An interesting thing about Changhong is my mum had an old TV. She got one of the big 68 or 80 centimetre CRT sets back in the late 90s. She bought it just before the 2000 Olympic Games. And it worked alright for a while. Like it basically, I mean, it always worked up until the day we retired it for a Hitachi plasma. And it just always had this weird ghosting problem. Not ghosting, but a magnetic rainbow effect, like it was too close to a magnet. But the problem was there was no magnet there. It didn't matter about degaussing it. I borrowed the degaussing wand from the local electronics shop, didn't fix it. And we just basically gave up on it because the colour mostly went away when it was warm. So I put it down to a warped aperture grill inside the CRT. Interesting. Their OEM back then was pretty bad and they sort of faded out of existence. They seem to have popped up again, like at my local better appliance store. And apparently they haven't had any returns apart from something like this where it's more the customer's fault for breaking it. Electronically they seem to have become better. They're probably using a much better OEM, and we'll find out. I mean, probably won't be able to recognise who makes the parts, but I'm sure someone out there does and might be able to tell me who else uses them. Because a lot of stuff comes from the same factory now. They just put a different bezel on it, a different remote, and a different on-screen display, and the rest of it's generic, the same. It's even got a disc DVD drive inside. What is it? I like the way they put that on there. Label side, mirror side. I can't remember how many times I've fixed players just by turning the disc over. It's interesting, you get CD and DVD players in a repair shop and customer complains about it not working and you eject it and they've left the disc in there and all you see is the shiny side up. Not supposed to be like that. It's the model LED32C2100DV. Full HD, made in China of course. And yeah, let's see if Changhong have actually lifted their game when it comes to OEMs or whether they're basically the same as they used to be. I remember them for tinny sounding boom boxes. Average CRT TVs, like if you wanted a big CRT television, they were a good cheap way into the market and they worked for the most part, but there were issues. So yeah, I think a lot of people ditched them pretty quick. Look at that, it's still got the film on it. Ooh, that shiny new look. Oh dear. At least it wasn't a Nintendo Wii controller. That's always fun. I've seen so many videos of people doing that. Like a Wii Fit or Wii bowling or something, and they accidentally let go and they're not wearing the wrist strap and smack straight into the panel. Yeah, it doesn't like that, does it? No harm in trying. Yeah. LCDs make awesome effects when you hit them. You can see part of the on-screen display trying to move around. Anyway, let's turn it off and open it up. That's the point of this exercise. Well, this is one of the more awkward designs to take apart. You've got the business side of it all here. It's split between two boards, so you've got to disconnect half of it to get it apart. And the funny thing is I took all the screws out at once, so look at that, you can actually split the panel in two. It looks like it's got a full array backlight. It's not an edge lit. Little LED bulbs behind it. That's cool. And there's the back of the panel. That is cheap. Yeah, the actual panel surround, it does look like there's two pieces. Little bezel snaps in as well, but there's definitely no metal frame to it like on the older panels. That's like a late 2000s Toshiba, and again, there's an all aluminium panel chassis as well as a steel sub chassis. Yeah, this is definitely going to be cheap. Feels like polypropylene as well. No, high impact polystyrene. Okay. Polystyrene. The wonderful stuff that they outlawed from fast food. No more styrofoam burger casings. The IEC socket just sort of unscrews and comes out. That's handy though, it's got spade terminals on it. I can use that. I can probably definitely use that backlight too. That's nice. Alright, let's get into the business side of it. We have not much on the back panel, a lot of wiring. Some very long wiring. That's all going to the DVD drive. I'm assuming it's DVD. Laser looks too small and simple to be Blu-ray, and for a discount TV I wouldn't expect that they'd put a $90 Blu-ray player in it. That's interesting. Digital board and switch mode power supply are one. I haven't seen that before. Most of the time there's usually a separate switch mode. It's all on board. You've got main DC coming through here. You actually got your panel drive coming straight off there, going to a tiny little T-Con board. Definitely going to need the scope to check out those chips. T-Con's bonded straight to the panel, so that's not a serviceable item. If the T-Con goes bad, good luck fixing that up at home. Taps wise, very generic. Was it KMM? A bit of adhesive holding it down. Samsung, yeah, pretty standard. Very lightly built power supply, no heat sunk bridge rectifier. Mind you, this thing only uses 70 watts according to the label, so it probably doesn't need it. I mean, it's not too heavy. Yeah, Samsung caps. Yeah, maybe. I don't know if they've improved their game, but I've replaced plenty of these that have blown out before. Changhong does make an appealing looking 4K television. It's about $1,600 for a 46-inch 4K panel. I was sort of umming and ahhing about buying one, but if it's built like this, no. If it's built by a different OEM, a better one, maybe. I don't know. 4K is certainly making a break on the market at the moment, and it's definitely going to drive the cost of regular HD, true HD panels down. Probably a good time to buy a couple of Sharp Aquos 55-inch or 60-inch panels instead. Make a nice surround monitor gaming system. 3 60-inch gaming monitors in surround vision would be awesome. Anyway, let's strip the rest of this out. Let's take the drive out and see what that is. Again, it's not exactly a standard looking thing, or it probably is a standard looking thing, but I'm used to seeing like a metal cased, almost like a CD-ROM drive kind of assembly in them. Not that, that's all bare bones. But I also want to preserve power on control, power supply and backlight power, because I want to use that LED grid. That could be fun. I think that's what that is. Yeah, that might be backlight there. That's audio processor. Yeah, interesting. Okay, the DVD drive's pretty straightforward. It's just a standard compact optical drive. Slot loading. Very simple slot loading mechanism. There's really nothing to it. Yeah, there's a load motor there and load mechanism. Plus, no, sorry, that's even laser. Where's the load mechanism? I think it actually doubles. I think that motor drives both the loading mechanism and the laser. Because I can't see a loading motor in there unless it's under that little board. I don't think so though, there's no space for it. Yeah, dual purpose motor. It does both loading and drives the laser. That's a spindle motor. Yeah. The board itself, not much on it. Novatech NT90909FG. Probably a little RAM chip there. SI Dragon SI 636165 5TS-6G. I should really just put this under the microscope, it's a lot easier. Eventually I'll get it set up out here and use the big plasma as my microscope monitor. I'll just be able to point it at things and say, here you go, have a closer look at that. One day, I hope. Anyway, I'm probably going to turn this into a light panel. I'll keep the chassis and everything together as such. I'm just going to strip the LCD itself off the front of it and probably most of the diffusers. And maybe bury this a bit further inside for weather and moisture protection and use it for like undercar lighting. Slide it across the ground underneath the car that you're working on and you've got a nice big light panel. Excellent. Yeah, look at that. It's very basic stuff. Probably a memory chip there. Main processor. It's all digital. No sign of an analog digital converter. It's probably all in there. ADC and digital signal processing. Everything. It'll go. Yeah, there we go. Go straight to LVDS. Interesting. 200 volt cap feeding the backlight. So reasonably high voltage going to the backlight. Directly adjacent to all these other connectors like audio. Interesting that they've incorporated it all, and it's all very close. See, that's backlight circuit there, and it's all very close to a lot of this digital circuit. Yeah, well, I know they've got to keep costs down, but as long as it doesn't have picture noise or audio noise, I guess, as long as it works, it works. If you do get picture noise and audio noise, well, that's not a good thing. You shouldn't do that. Oh well, let's pull some boards off. I'll rip this T-con board off and stick it under the scope. That's surprisingly well bonded. That's some good bondage right there. That's what she said. I hate having a thumb half out of action. Surprising how much you value thumbs. Don't try and chop them off with a handsaw. At least not intentionally or unintentionally. Yeah, that ribbon was surprisingly well bonded. Alright, let's see if this thing wants to work. Power. Hey, there we go. We have brightness and strange light shafts. That's kind of cool. That's really weird. Goodbye. That's cool. Yeah. Must be the optics inside those little LED bulbs. Camera don't like them. That's neat. Better strip the rest of it back and have a look, and then we'll look at actually building this into a working light panel. I'll dismantle the rest of the panel and we'll have a look at the boards under a microscope or similar, and that'll do it. Alright, just a quick look at the boards that I've pulled out, the small ones. I'm not pulling the main board out. Plenty of test pads on the T-con board. I can't tell you what it actually does though. I know it's all panel drive, voltages, and I think it's lines or grid. Can't remember how they run it. Again, that's not my foray. I'm more into metalworking and engineering or engines and shit like that. I know there'll be someone out there that knows exactly what it is and they're banging their head on the keyboard because I'm not explaining it. I feel sorry for them. I really do. But I'd rather go into a bit more detail on these autopsies than a quick poke of the camera inside something and that's it. Yeah, interesting stuff. There's virtually no brand names on these components. Nothing. It'll be just whatever they could find at the Shenzhen market that day, I guess. Good old Chinese manufacturing. There's the main input there. Again, the part number will probably pull something up, but there's no manufacturer name on that chip, as far as I can tell anyway. Let's go to the DVD ROM board, DVD player board. Again, that's the main logic and signal out by the looks of it. Yeah, the other connectors on the other side of the board are control. That little board-to-board connector, interconnector, is for the spindle motor and laser/loading sled motor. Laser input on that little flat flex ribbon. Half of it seems to go to the main processor there, and the other half seems to go over to this IC here. There we go, that's a better look at it. You can see a lot of traces coming out from under that connector. They might actually not, it looks like some of them might be off that connector. Little crystal there, 27 megahertz. Yeah, pretty basic stuff. Almost looks like a bridge rectifier in the corner there. I wonder if it's getting AC out of the power supply and just rectifying its own. That'd be strange. Normally they're always DC feed. It's not hard to just shove 5 volts DC in there. What does that say? Pheon. So they've struck out whatever was marked on it, apart from the bottom 1328 TD4 or TO4. At least these chips have some brand names on them. Yeah. They've marked over part of it, but oh, TDA, okay. 1328 TDA. I'm sure if we looked up that part number they'd come up with something. Anyway, that's just a little random look at a bit of random cheap junk tonight. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for a video on changing it to a LED, or I suppose you call it a lighting panel. Go away, screensaver. You're not welcome here. Alright, it looks like I'm going to have to cut up an extra sheet of acrylic from a bigger TV, like a 46 or 50 inch TV. I've got quite a few of those, so I can add to this. That's all that's going to be protecting the front of it when I turn it into a light panel, so I'll work on that one later. But this is actually the panel itself. There's 3 chip-on films on the horizontal side, but the bottom edge is the only input. There's 1 chip and that's it. The bottom centimetre or so is all traces. That's covered by the plastic bezel, and same with the sides. There's traces, like just highways of traces going top to bottom, left to right. Yeah, that bottom 10mm or so is all circuitry. It's not viewable surface, that's for sure. Yeah, not much to it. A little chip on film there. Driver chip. I think it's actually glued to the inner part of the bezel. That's the plastic bezel there, and that snaps in. The panel's actually glued to it. There's no metal whatsoever in the structure. The entire structure of the television's plastic. No outer surround, no nothing. I mean, LCDs are surprisingly flexible. You can abuse them a fair bit before they break, but when they break, they break. And I think they finally realised excess metal doesn't really protect them, because most breakages occur from frontal impact. You can flex them like that and it won't really kill it, it won't hurt it. But you hit it sharply from the front and it'll break regardless of how much steel you've got in it. Kind of like that one. There's a ton of steel in it, but if I whacked it or dropped it on its front, it'd probably break. So yeah, plastic isn't too bad in that respect, but yeah, you get what you pay for. Cheap TV, cheap construction. Anyway, I'm going to call it a night, and probably tomorrow I'll look at turning this into a light panel. Just mounting the board differently perhaps, sealing things up, dedicated power supply and power button. I need to permanently set it to tuner or something like that so that it doesn't turn itself off after so many minutes in standby, and that's about it. We'll look at turning it into a proper light panel. So yeah, thanks for watching. It was an interesting little teardown on a very modern and somewhat cheap television. They sure don't make them like they used to, I can tell you right now.